they say in the internet, you got fans, you got super fans, and you have ambassadors. But if there's anything above an ambassador, I would say that would be, right where you got a lot of us here at Flip Lifestyle. It is, it's all about the culture and the friendship, and you have made it something very special.
Yeah. And you guys truly want to see people succeed.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. It is great to be back with you again this week. I'm super excited to talk to more members of the Flip Lifestyle community and help them flip their life with their own online business with their membership. But I'm doubly excited today because these are two of my true, dear, good friends in life, Joe and Stacy Buzako. What is going on? How are you guys doing?
Hey, doing good.
Doing great, Shane. Thanks for having us on board.
So me and Joe were at an event together. We had Joe's in sales. I'm in sales. I was doing some speaking, and we were at this event. And I'm at this event. I'm walking around. There's people from all over the place, here, that, and the other. I'm just a guy from Kentucky trying to find some, little hot dog wieners or hors d'oeuvres or something, whatever we were looking for. And I sit down on a couch, and this guy sits next to me, and he said, "Hey, what's your name?" And I was like, "Oh, this guy talks like me. I'm Shane." And he goes, "I'm Joe." And I said, "I'm from Kentucky." And he's like, "I'm from Tennessee." And I said, "Well, we're friends."
Yeah, automatically.
Automatic, baby. And it's been really cool because you guys have been, we've gotten really close over the years. But before we get started, let's tell everybody a little bit more about you guys, your background, and what is it you're starting on your online business.
Okay. Well, we are Joe and Stacy Buzako in Nashville, Tennessee. We started out as school teachers years ago. And then Joe made a career move.
Well, I made a career move. We wanted more children, and when two school teachers are under the same roof, you're always one nickel shy of rubbing two together. So I had to look at another avenue of income, and it required some traveling and sales. But along with that, we did some real estate investing. And, God had laid a path out for us a long time ago. It just took me a minute to really realize what we were on.
So he had this vision for a couple of years, probably 6 or 7 years, to do something in the autism community, something online. I just didn't see it. I was negative Nelly. No, it doesn't make sense. We can't do anything online. I have to know everything about autism. I have to be the expert. And it wasn't until we sat in a specific seminar where this great speaker, Shane Sams, was, and he was talking about how to do an online business. And the whole time I'm going, "Hey, babe, we could do that. We could totally do that."
Yeah.
And
great idea, babe.
I know.
Great idea.
Stacy's sitting there going, "Joe, I really think we should do something in the autism community, and we should start an online business or something about this. This guy's making totals. Why is it that the guy from Tennessee couldn't convince you to do it, but it's got to be outside the house? That's what has to happen in your life, right?"
Yeah, it was just a blessing how it all came together. It really is. One thing that was holding Stacy up for a while from seeing this, what we could be doing in the world of autism, is that we were tripped up on the fact of being the experts. Mm-hmm. And she was saying, like, we learned in your class that we don't have to be the expert of that topic of autism. We just need to be the guide, and we bring experts into our community calls and things of that nature. But yeah, that was a huge shift for us when we learned that.
Yeah. You don't have to have, like, in the current world, man, you don't have to have a doctor or letters in front of your name. Like, all people are looking for is support and help and community, and someone who cares about them. Like, a lot of people in our community try to build these crazy things and position themselves as the expert. And I'm like, no one cares if your expertise is there, because experts are cold. Experts don't care about you. They want someone that loves them and cares for them and will show up and will help them find the answer. And if you can provide that for people, then of course they're going to pay you for it. Now, tell us why autism is so close to you guys. Why is this such a near and dear issue to your all's hearts?
Yeah, I feel like I should get a photo album out now and brag a little bit.
Go for it. We got a YouTube channel. Everyone can look at it,
We are blessed with 5 kiddos, and our son Jack is 16, almost 17. He will tell you we're counting down the days now. And Jack has autism, and he is an incredible blessing. But we've got a big story back of how we've gotten through these 16 years of, things that we've done and tried, and living in the world of autism is challenging, and there's a lot of unknowns, but it can also be a huge, amazing blessing. So yeah, and our other kids are amazing too. I don't want to downplay our
right, but this is about Jack, and I have the great privilege of knowing Jack, and he gives the best hugs on the planet Earth, and he's just such a sweet kid. He's just so sweet. But I also I feel empathy, right? Because we are close, we're friends, and I can see that man, that is a challenge. Jack is going to require care for the rest of his life. Also, when you found out Jack had autism, did you guys know right away, or was it something that kind of emerged over the first couple of years of his life? How was that part of your journey? Because that is the start line of every person's journey with autism. Your catchphrase is "Our stories are different yet familiar." What was that like to find that out that Jack had something special about him?
Yeah, I love the way you put that, by the way, something special about him. There's a long story back behind it, but that's for another time. But as far as from birth to when we finally got a diagnosis, but Jack had some other issues going on. Of course, developmental delays, both physical and mental delays, seizures. He had seizures a lot as a baby, terrifying to have your child in your arms seizing, and there's nothing that you can do about it. So we walked a path of trying to get those under control, looking at traditional medicine and holistic supplements and therapies and treatments. And his life consisted a lot of appointments at the beginning of his life, which therefore his siblings also went to a lot of appointments as well. So that's, we were taking the girls to gymnastics and dance and all that, and we were taking Jack to doctors and specialists.
We had to pivot the way we were parenting our first two when it came to Jack, and there was a lot of changes that occurred. But even when we raised our first two children, there were typical natural fears that we had as parents that all parents go through. And then with Jack, they were a different set of fears that came along, especially with the seizures that happened multiple times a day, and trying to figure out conflicting information that we were getting from professionals, and that's when, Stacy and I, we really kind of just took it upon ourselves to get in and do more research than we ever had for any of our other kids, and just really start finding answers. She's been an absolute amazing at just plowing the way for Jack, and aligning herself and aligning us with good people around us that would give us different information and allow us to weigh it out ourselves. They weren't pushy about it, but they presented it to us. And this is what we're doing for others now.
Yeah.
Showing them what we've learned over the last 16 years.
I remember, I don't know if I've told you guys this story before, but when Anna Jo was born, our daughter, we went to the first, she was really little, she was super tiny. And, we were going to our first doctor's appointments, and my doctor came in and he was freaked out. And he told us that Anna Jo has all the markers for a very rare disease that basically said that she could not metabolize fat and that she would need to be fed every 2 hours or she could die.
Oh my.
And so me and Jocelyn, I haven't thought about this in forever. I might start crying. So we were told this. We got in at the University of Kentucky Medical Center to get an appointment, but it was for a few days. And he literally sent us home like, hey, you have to feed her every 2 hours. That's period right now. If she won't eat, you have to bring her to the hospital. We got to make sure that she's eating every 2 hours until we get up to the specialists and figure all this out. And and then of course you do the Google search. And all horror breaks loose in your mind of what's going on when you first get a diagnosis like that. And I remember we had church, it may have been a Thursday or a Friday. We went to church, and I remember just weeping because you just didn't know what was right, didn't know what was wrong. And I remember just being so overwhelmed and so alone. And by the grace of God, we went to this appointment and the markers were wrong. She did not have that. Yeah. So it was incredible. But I just can imagine so many people out there when they get a diagnosis of someone severely on the spectrum for autism. And when it settles in, like we were settling into, we are going to have to do this for the rest of her life. We're going to have to help her for the rest of her life, like with this condition, and not knowing where to go, reading the 20 blog posts that make you don't know what to do. Like to have a place where people have walked through it, went together in a non-judgmental way, other people. And autism is every kid is customized, man. Every kid's version of autism is going to be different, but familiar, right? And like, it's just pretty crazy that you guys now can create a space for people to go to that you did not have, like in the very beginning. How does that feel to be able to like, oh my gosh, like we can turn on a light switch for people and they can come here and we can be what we didn't have? How cool is that?
Yeah, it is pretty amazing because when we started on this journey, I had one friend who had a son on the spectrum and that's it. I didn't know anybody else. And we were talking about how when we went to like the kids' schools, you were at any activities, you were always so focused on your own kids. So it was very difficult to have conversation with the other parents. So it's pretty amazing and a little scary at the same time. Right. Just making sure, I want to make sure people understand that we want to connect dots. We want to guide them. We want to support them. We want to empathize with them as they're on their journey because their journey is going to look different than ours. For sure.
People try to teach stuff. And don't get me wrong, there's always going to be teaching stuff, right? There's always going to be something that's consistent enough in 80% of your students' lives and members' lives that we can all talk about and share together. But just having a place to work it out, having a place to connect, having a place where there is leadership, like leadership doesn't mean always I show you exactly where to go. In fact, I would say leadership more so is creating a place where people can figure out where to go safely, right? And you get to do that with a membership. Like it doesn't matter if it's autism, online business, raising chickens, playing guitar, RVing, it doesn't matter. Like you're just providing enough leadership to give people organization, give them structure, like where they can actually go. And you've done that because you guys have done that. You've crossed the first threshold. You've launched a website, you've done a webinar, and you've offered your product, your membership, Champions of Autism, out to the world. And tell everyone what happened when you opened the doors, y'all.
We actually enrolled close to 75% of the people that attended that webinar that night.
That's right. That's right. So how many was that?
It was a whopping 8 people on that webinar.
There you go, baby. And 5 of them bought. That's all that matters, right? Close the deals.
And we were just unbelievably we're like, holy smokes, man, this is fantastic. But we're super pumped because tomorrow night's Thursday and we're doing our group coaching call tomorrow. And we've got a nutritionist coming on tomorrow night with us named Les Pritchard. And he is amazing when it comes to understanding nutrition and how it impacts, our kids and give us parents some tips on what we can do. And then the following week, we've got a mom coming on and she has actually got 4 kids on the spectrum.
Wow. See, man, just providing access like that to other people, like it just eliminates the aloneness, right? And having people like the experts we bring into the Flip Lifestyle community. I think one of the great services we do is we're like the filter. Like you don't know who to believe anything online, but I'm not going to, but as the expert, I can know people deeply and know what they teach and what they do. So it's like a heuristic for all of your members. Oh, well, if Joe and Stacy trust them, then it's someone that I can listen to and trust. And that's going to tell me something that might be beneficial for my kid. I'm telling you, that's exciting. Like my first money online was 11 cents. Okay. So if you get 5 people to pay you $50 a month, I'm just using round numbers here. That's $250. 1 million times more money than I made on the internet, guys, when I first started out. So you guys are so far ahead of me at this stage of the game. It's super impressive. And I love first members because it's just when people sell their first people, it's like, man, you got 5 people. Like, how many hundreds, thousands more are just waiting to learn about Joe and Stacy Buzako and Champions of Autism? And we know that an offer can convert. We know that we can get it out there and make it happen. And we know that people can be touched and people can be moved. And like, how many kids could be, touched by Jack's story? How many kids with autism right now? How many parents are scared to death right now driving home from that first diagnosis and are typing into the first time, what happens when my kid gets a diagnosis of autism? And someday your website could be the thing that pops up first in their life, or other families, dealing with this situation, and your guys' picture pops up, and they'll have a place of hope.
The numbers are huge. It's 1 in 36 now are diagnosed with autism. That is a 417% increase since the year 2000.
Yeah.
So many people are affected by this.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's nobody doesn't know or isn't affected directly by it. Right. And then when you start looking at the spectrum, a lot of kids that have never been diagnosed, but people have always, maybe they've been misdiagnosed, but it's like, oh, wait, this is what it's been the whole time. Now that we have the answer, we can go find solutions for that.
Right.
So, all right. So let's talk about your business, because this is like amazing. We want this to grow now. So what happens next? You've prototyped it. You've done exactly for what, but you all have had an unfair advantage, because for those you don't know, Joe, so we go out and we speak, we do seminars, and yes, we do sell things while we're at these events. And Joe and Stacy have been on our team on the road to serve our people, to help our students now for the last couple of years. So you've been probably beat to death with Flip Lifestyle trainings, right? But you've done what we told you to do in order and got members. That's the first step. So now what's next? Like, where are you stuck? How do you want to grow this thing? Like, what are we going to do next? Like, what do you think is your biggest hang up right now? And how can I help you?
Well, that list might be kind of long, but so here's what we have planned. And so we're definitely open to what you think of this is, we want to continuously be able to reach out to people. We had probably 40 something people register for the webinar, but of course not everybody showed up. So we're planning to host another webinar next week. So it'll be about 2 weeks behind the first one. There's some people have already reached out to us saying, hey, we couldn't make it. Can you show us the replay or whatnot? So we just figured doing another webinar once a month might be a good idea.
What time was the webinar?
8 Central.
Okay. And what time, what day of the week was it?
Thursday evening.
We usually want 30 to 50% of people to show up at an online event. So there was something going. Did you have reminder emails set up to get people to come?
Yeah, all set up with as soon as they registered, I followed the format, the template.
Yeah, for sure. And that's actually 8 people though. That's like 4 out of 40 would be 10%, right? So 8 would be about 20. So it wasn't too far off. We just need more people to sign up for it. That's the main thing. Mm-hmm. All right. So you're going to do monthly webinars at least. That's fine. You can do a webinar every other week if you want to, right? No big deal. Just get people to come. That is a definite sales strategy that works. How are you going to get people on the webinar?
Right now, we started with our personal Facebook pages, but we also have a Champions of Autism Facebook page that before the webinar, a week or two before the webinar, we went and we've been posting kind of inconsistently on it for like the past 8-10 months or so. And then we just drove everybody. We invited everybody on our contact list to that page so that they would start to see the information from the webinar. So my plan was to go back to our Champions of Autism Facebook page and post it on there again to promote it on there, as well as going back to our 32 people who signed up from the webinar for the first one to promote that again.
7 p.m. Central, that's 8 p.m. Eastern. That's a pretty good time for a webinar. I mean, so I don't think that was fine. I think you just need more people. So like, what is your long-term strategy though to build an audience? It's not enough to just go to your personal network. That's going to dry up extremely fast Like no matter how many people you know, right? It's the game is about getting more people to know about this. Like we're working backwards. You have a membership, you go backwards. You've got a web page, right? You did a webinar to get, people to jump from there to there, right? To build the email list. Mm-hmm. But like discovery, there's no plan here yet. So like, what are your thoughts? We got to be consistent. That's the first thing. Then we can be prolific. Then we can be relentless. So like, what do you think you're going to do to build an audience?
Well, I've got a couple of lead magnets that are ready to go. So I was thinking about putting those out.
Hold on there.
To everybody.
Lead magnets don't build audience.
Okay.
Lead magnets build your email list, right?
Okay.
Someone's got to, so how it flows is there's discovery. You appear somewhere where someone's already paying attention to autism. There's audience, which is content, right? That's the people that follow you regularly, like the people that listen to my podcast. Uh-huh. Then they move from the audience to an email list. The bridge in between those two things is the lead magnet, right? And then you use the email list to invite them to your webinar to sell them into your membership. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what we got to figure out is the long-term play. Like, what's your content strategy? First of all, then we'll talk about like discovery to new audiences. Cause I got a couple ideas for you guys. Are you guys going to do a podcast? Like a YouTube channel? Like what's the goal there? What's happening? You got to create content.
Yeah.
Podcast and YouTube channel were the very two things that I was going to mention that Stacy and I have been talking about. Podcasting for sure to build our audience. We never run out of things to talk about or people to interview in the world of autism. There's just so many good people out there. But when it comes to the YouTube, maybe you could help us with this. We looking for just possible content to where people would see the community aspect of what we're doing, or to actually learn more about, would it be more educational or more engagement?
Okay, so YouTube works weird. YouTube is like people are looking for answers to questions. So you've got to answer a lot of questions. Like people are typing in things, right? They may come across a video that you've made, but they're like for example, if someone's going to go on the Disney Dream cruise ship, they're going to go to YouTube and they're going to say, Disney Dream cruise review. They want to know about that ship, right? Like I have a video about the Disney Dream and it gets lots of views, right? And people can discover me there. But I also have videos like how to start a sales funnel, and people are typing that in. So YouTube is more for that. Like, what are people looking for? I need to jump in front of that traffic. I think you guys should just launch a podcast. I think you should forget about YouTube right now. Like, just launch your podcast, and because you guys have a great dynamic. You got the husband and wife dynamic. Your personalities are very different. And if you guys brought a guest on and you could just jam with them about autism, you're going to geek out about it because it's so close to you. And then you can put your podcast on YouTube. You can repurpose it in other places. But if you get too deep into these strategies, you can go crazy with each platform is so specific. I often recommend be somewhere before you can go everywhere, right? You don't need to be on every social media network, everything. It's usually pick one, pick a podcast, okay. Do a podcast, the Champions of Autism podcast. That's it, with Joe and Stacy Buzako. And then you can share clips and things from that on social media, right? Wherever you want to share it. But probably you just need a podcast. It needs to come out weekly, and it needs to be you guys jamming, about hard stuff, good stuff, bad stuff. You can work on segments, but interviewing these experts, right? Things like that to give people someone's looking for people who are talking about autism. You got to jump in front of that. And a podcast is a great place to do it, because if you're if you're going to all those recitals and appointments and all that, you're in a car a lot. What can you do in a car? You can listen to your podcast, right? Okay. It's hard to watch YouTube when you're driving kids to appointments and you're going to the doctor and you're doing, you're chasing, all the things that go with autism around, basically.
Yeah. So now how, do you have any recommendations on how we differentiate the content that we might put on a podcast as opposed to what we might save for our community? We were talking about bringing in specialists on our weekly calls to really have that for the people who are in the membership. Yeah.
Well, there is no difference. Content wants to be free no matter what you do with it. everything you could ever possibly offer inside of a membership is somewhere free on the internet. What you do is you curate it into a place people can find it easily. Now, the way that podcasting often works, for example, is like I've had Aaron Walker on my podcast. He's a great guy. He's in a mastermind with Dave Ramsey and Dan Miller and all these famous authors and people. And he's a good, amazing entrepreneur and all this stuff. Like I've interviewed him on my podcast, so everyone can listen to that interview. But he just did a training and a Q&A specially for our community yesterday. The differentiation is access. Like they can access you, they can access Joe, they can access the guest, they get to ask them questions. It's a special extra bonus training. Like people even do this. They'll have a guest on their podcast and they'll be like, hey, Tuesday, Bob was here and Bob told you lots of cool things. Well, Bob's going to be in our community on Thursday to answer questions. And if you want to join Bob there, you can go to championsofautism.com and you too can be a member of the community to talk to Bob, right? So like it's a lead into the community, right? I talk about anything on this podcast. I teach direct strategies, just like the blueprint, because if you want to go listen to 890 podcasts or whatever it is now, go for it to find all the information, or go to the Flip Lifestyle Experience, fliplifestyle.com, and join that. And it'll just put you in the membership and you can learn it in order, you know, and get access to all these things. Yeah. People want to hide their stuff, but like, there's nothing new under the sun, people. The internet is a big place, and you're not a special wallflower snowflake. I'm sorry to tell you that. Your stuff is out there on the internet. In fact, our exact courses have been bootlegged and sold in other websites, right? So it's like, but they can't get me.
That's right.
They can't right there. They can't get Joe and Stacy either. So that's where you got to go to get that, you know?
Okay. That makes sense.
So when are you going to launch your podcast?
Well, I guess we could probably do it. What's today? Wednesday? We'll probably do it next week. That's probably not the answer you want. You want it here tomorrow, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Why next week? Why can't we record it this week and then work on it next week and get it ready to launch?
All right.
You know? Yeah. Because you and Joe have to record an episode of why you're doing the podcast. The first episode can be that. And you've got a couple guests for your community. Just have them hang out an extra 40, tell them show up 45 minutes early and interview them for the podcast, and then do the community call with your guests.
Okay.
But double book it. You've already got 2 guests lined up. You got your first 3 episodes ready to go. You can talk about nutrition on your second episode. And then who's the other guest? What were they?
A parent who's got 4 kiddos on the spectrum.
Perfect. Now, so look what you've done. A solo show with Joe and Stacy to kick it off. 20, 30 minutes, tell your story. You've got an expert comes on. So now this podcast is going to give me access to experts. And then you got a parent, like I'm going to get to hear from real people going through that's it. You've already told everybody what you're going to do. Apple can start indexing you. And then you can say like, yeah, we're going to have a podcast every week forever. Let's go. Let's do this. Yeah.
All right. So we'll start that, I guess, tomorrow then, because that's when we have our first guest on our Zoom call.
There you go. You could even interview them really like as a podcast. You could record that. And then if there's a Q&A portion where you're a couple people, you know, the people that show up can ask them questions, you could just totally record that and make it the podcast. It's not like you got to make anything special or planned. Like just all you would have to do is maybe a little intro that says, hey, this week's podcast is going to be so-and-so. We did this special one-on-one in our community, and we wanted to give you guys a listen in to what happens inside. So here's our guest on the podcast today, Bob.
Okay.
Bob's, yeah.
Do we just record podcasts on Zoom?
I do. I don't make it complicated. There's all kinds of platforms, but what I do is I have a Zoom account that has cloud storage, and I get the cloud storage and I just record everything into the cloud through Zoom. You know, it's not hard. It actually will record automatically if you set it up to do it. And then you can just take that file and you can use software to like get the audio off of it. You know, just record it you can save it as an MP3 basically once you get it in there. And then you can edit it and make it good. Or you can hire somebody to edit it if you don't want to do it. Honestly, hit record, have a great conversation and air it. It doesn't have to be fancy. You need a theme song. You got to find a good theme song. Go to audiojungle.com. Or Envato, I think is what it's called now. I don't remember. But like, and just look up themes, you know, and like listen to some music and find you a theme, and you know.
I'm gonna pick that.
Yeah.
Stacy's got way better taste in this, Joe. I'm sorry. You need to just sit back with me and let her handle this.
I'm picking the Dukes of Hazzard theme song.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I knew mine was going to be some kind of country music kind of feel. So that's what I looked for. I was typing in like country music themes and stuff like that. So I had an old theme song on my Shane Sams show. I need to bring it back. It was like a more like bluesy kind of music. It was like,
It reminded me of like Law and Order meets Longhorn. Like,
that's exactly what it was.
That's what it was.
That was, and that was what I was going for. So it's good.
Hey, that's what came through.
Yes. And what's funny though is like, I listened to like 4 things and I just picked it. It's not like I sat and searched for your music will never get anyone to download your podcast. No one cares. Like they don't even hear it until they've already downloaded your podcast. Another thing like that is like logos. And I'm looking at your all's website right now. And you have this ginormous logo that says Champions of Autism at the top. And like that logo just needs to go away. Like it needs to be small at the bottom, like at the top, because like the next thing is when it comes to autism, many parents feel like they are on the journey alone. We provide a community that offers support and connections so that you don't have to go it alone. And then it has a beautiful picture of you guys. So that's what needs to be as soon as someone loads, they need to see that. Same thing with a podcast. The first thing people need to hear is, hey, today's guest is so-and-so. They're going to help you with nutrition for your child who has autism. Then the music plays, right? So it's like, what does the user need to know first? See first, hear first. Do that with your podcast too, okay? Mm-hmm. Getting content out there creates where people can find you because you'll be indexed in search engines. People are searching for things. As you release more episodes, they'll be about topics. But also, one of the big strategies we love is guesting on other people's shows. Like you guys, how old is Jack now? How old is he? He'll be 17, right?
Yeah, he'll be 17 the end of the month.
See, you have 17 years of expert experience being a parent of an autistic child. So like that experience, and once you establish your platform, you need to be discovered by other people who are listening to content about autism, right? Jocelyn and I used to do this all the time. People love to interview couples who are doing things together. So like being able to get your podcast going, you can go invite other podcasters onto your podcast. Go type in autism, right? For in Apple Podcasts or Spotify or a big search engine and write down the top 50 podcasts that come up about autism, right? Reach out to those people and say, hey, would you like to be a guest on my podcast? And then when they come on your podcast, that gives you content. So that's cool, right? They'll probably share it. They already have people following them who are, looking for information about autism. And then just say, hey, we'd love to come on your show. If you ever want us to come on there, we'd love to come talk about Jack and try to help more people with autism, right? Okay. Like getting on other people's podcasts is a really powerful strategy, like super powerful, because imagine if someone's getting 1,000 downloads a week on their autism podcast right now. That's 1,000 human beings that are listening that could hear your story and want to come talk to you about more stuff. Right.
Right.
So that could be you guys are such good connectors and such good people. And it would be very easy for you to build relationships in these communities of podcasters. Probably.
We run our first webinar and we've given a founder's rate
discount
on it. And if we're going to continue to have a webinar a month, how long do I run that, or do I continue to give a discount on it, but just not a founder's discount?
How much is the discount?
Well, the membership is $39. So the discount we ran for the first one was 50% off. So 19.
Yeah. So what you can do is one, I would just be like, so the last thing you're going to do is raise the price of the membership. So what we did, I like to raise it a little bit each time, almost like rounds of funding. So it's like, the first people the first 20 people, I'll keep selling it at the founder's rate until I get to 20, maybe. These are arbitrary numbers. There is no real answer to this question. I'm just telling you what we do. Okay. So at that point, then I'm like, okay, well, we're giving 50% off. Well, now we're going to do 40% off for the next round. Then we're going to do 30% off for the next round. So maybe I'm up to like 60 at this point. Then I'm going to give like one more discount, maybe it's 20% off and I get out. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to raise the price. So now it's $39 a month, but we're raising it to $49 a month next month. So this is your last chance to get in at $39. And then I'm going to keep doing that until I find a place where people maybe don't join. right? To get the price higher. So you honor it to so many people, like pick a number, 25. The first 25 people are going to get the founder's rate at 50% off. The second 25 people are going to get the, founder's rate of 40% off, 30% off, 20% off. And then you got to your price. You've made it there. Great. So then you open the webinar and you say, hey, we're going to raise this price now. Cause we're going to, more people will pay more than $39 a month. So you can get up to like 50, try to get to $50 a month if you can right now. So like, that's how we did it. They just rolled it out in rounds. Just don't give the same discount, but you pick a number. It's not that first webinar. I mean, you had 5 people join. I mean, how many founders do you want? Do you want 50 founders? That's it. So maybe the first, until you get to 50 members, you keep doing 50% off. And make sure you watch our pricing course in the blueprint. There's a pricing course in there that talks about all this. And the launch course talks about this as well. So you know how to do the founders rate. But it's good to give everybody a founders rate. We still have people paying on the founders rate from 2014.
Do you really?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Because why would they, if they quit, they got to come back in at whatever the new price is.
Right.
Yeah. You lose your status.
Right.
Yeah. You lose all your miles in the Flip Lifestyle miles program. If you do that. So that's what I would do. I would just raise it. And that might take you, there's no time limit on it. It's when you hit the number you want, you change it.
Okay.
Right. One thing I feel from you guys is you're focused so much on the sales process, because Joe is in sales and Stacy's been in sales. And like, you guys are like, well, what about the webinar? What about the seminar? What about the sales? I hate to tell everyone this. Doesn't matter how good you are at sales. You guys have watched me sell. I'm pretty good at selling things, right? It don't matter if the butts in the seat are wrong or if there's no butts in the seats. Like everything we do after doors open is learn what our customers need and get more customers. Mm-hmm. Like you have to focus on your strategy to get more awareness and attention. That's where your energy needs to be. The webinar will take care of itself. The founders rates will take care of itself. These are minor decisions that get made in one meeting, right? And you do it. But like everything right now has got to be like, okay, how do we get 100,000 people to know about Champions of Autism? That will be from content. That will be from relationships. And also like, autism is a big thing. Like anything with kids or anything with parenting, usually a Facebook group is really powerful for that. You need a Facebook group called Champions of Autism, a group, not a page. A page is a billboard, and Facebook's not going to show that to a lot of people. But you start a Facebook group and start getting people in the Facebook group, a free group, right, where you air your content and talk about stuff. That also opens the door for you need to join every Facebook group you can find about autism.
Yeah. I've been doing that, and there's some mean people on those.
Yes.
Mean.
Yeah. So start your own and kick people out who are mean, right? Make it a place where people can join for free and learn about your podcast and some things like that. And then once you get your content strategy down, you can start running ads if you want to. But like, the fundamentals are clear, guys. Yeah, guesting for discovery, content for audience. Your podcast or your content builds your email list. Your email list invites people to your webinar. Your webinar sells people into your product. That's it. Like that is the path that works online. And not everybody's got to be a podcaster. I mean, but I think for yours, it's probably best. I think that would be a really good solution. Anything come up once you sold memberships? Like, tell me about that process. Like, were you like, oh gosh, now we're on the hook?
Like, what do you freak out a little bit when I logged back into Kajabi after we did the pitch at the end? I was like, oh my gosh, Joey, we've got people. And then I slept all right, but I woke up extra early because I was like, crud, we've got to really like deliver now because we will keep coming back. So I'm like, okay, we need to do this and this and this and this. And then I called Steven and scheduled a coaching call, and
I was like, help. And you just put up the smoke signals as fast as possible. We've got members, right? Yep. Did you tell me too, like some people in the Flip Lifestyle community joined it as well? Like people that you're like other students?
Yes. Wow. So I've been able to be on the community calls and stuff. And so everyone is so amazing and just supporting each other. So I had a couple of people from within the community join, and I don't even know their story yet. I don't know if they have a kiddo.
Oh yeah, this is new.
So yeah, it's been really amazing, and I've had a couple others reach out after and say, "Hey, I wasn't able to be on, but keep me in the loop, and I want to join." So pretty exciting. And then you really got to deliver because they know where I'm coming from.
Well, they know that you're supposed to be learning how to deliver in the blueprint.
Right.
So like they want to see it work is what they want to see. I have an interesting tangent to go on here just with you guys. Cause you have I would say you guys might have one of the most unique experiences in our community ever, because, you know, I was building out a sales team for the road for my seminars. I met Joe. We hit it off immediately. And I was like, this guy has to be on my team out on the road. I didn't know I was getting like the greatest 2-for-1 deal on the planet Earth when I got Joe to come out. I called Joe Buzako for the first probably 4 events that we did together too, because I could not translate Buzako and bazooka right in my head. and then Stacy came on, and you guys really like, you know, got a behind the scenes view of our mission, of our values, of like how hard we really do work at building culture in our community. And you guys got to live that. You got to experience it, and you got to see it like on the road as a part of our team. Of course, we all became friends, and we've done dinners, and we've grown close together, and tapped a couple old fashions out on the road, Joe Buzako, and you know, and all those things. Mexico. That's right, man. That's right. Yeah, down in Mexico, went to Mexico. We went on vacation together, right? So you got to see these things, but then like also like not only did you get to see that, but you got to be in the community. You got to go through coaching. You got to actually do what we teach and see it work, right? It's such a unique perspective that you guys have. So I would just love to like what going through that journey, like what's it like seeing Flip Lifestyle, seeing it work, and just being a part of everything from pretty much as beginning to end. Like you guys get to see all that. Like what's it like being a part of all this, and what have you thought about the experience? You might make me
cry with this. That's probably going to make me cry a little bit. Go ahead.
Stacey, you have made me cry at more events than I could. So I owe you one right here. Okay. So.
Yeah, well, no doubt that God had his hands in a lot of what we're doing right now, and especially aligning us with the good people that helped us get here. You know, there was a reason why that couch was empty, and the only person you were sitting on was you, and then we sat down together. But to be in it, to feel the Flip Lifestyle culture and be in it, like in the actual, I don't know, command central, so to speak, with everybody, it's just absolutely amazing. You guys are, you know, from the top all the way through the coaching, through the community, down to the person that just all the way just enrolls the next student coming in. The integrity level is top gun. The support is never ending. And it's just, Shane, you've got, they say in the internet, you got fans, you got super fans, and you have ambassadors. But if there's anything above an ambassador, I would say that would be, right where you got a lot of us here at Flip Lifestyle. It is, it's all about the culture and the friendship, and you have made it something very special.
Yeah. And you guys truly want to see people succeed. I want to make Champions of Autism successful because I really want to serve other people, but I don't want to let you guys down because you guys have believed so much in us just from when Joe shared the idea with you on that couch.
Like people use the word mission a lot, but like, it just means so much to me. I don't even know why sometimes it means so much to me. And I just know that people have gifts that they're not using. And like, for us to be able to like go out and like help people to do this, it's just freaking everything to us. And Patricia, Patricia that works for us, she actually was kind of like you. She came through one of our seminars. She joined our program, and then I ended up was like, "You're really talented. I'm going to hire you." And but she's building her own thing on the side. Like all of our people have side hustles. It's kind of a requirement, sort of, is that everyone has to be building their own thing because we practice what we preach. We drink our own Kool-Aid around here. And she said something so similar to me the other day that I really was proud of. She said, it's the first thing I've ever seen where I went to a live event and I heard you speak. And I was like, well, that's interesting. And then I went to your seminar and everyone in the back of the room, Joe, Stacy, all these other people that were with you were saying the same things. And then I joined your community and everything you said was in there too. She goes, but then I joined your team. And I thought, well, this is the place where everything's got, I got to see the behind the curtain. And she was like, and then you said the same things in our team meetings. You said the same things in our one-on-one meetings. And like, then I looked at the business. I'm like, she's like, oh my gosh, you guys do the things you tell everyone else to do to grow your own business. And it just made me super proud that we've been, because we all know this, especially we know the world will resist that. The world will resist the consistency, and there will be opportunities to go different directions, that the ends justify the means. And I know that like, if we just keep doing that, and if we keep bringing in people like you guys, and if we keep helping people like you guys, that there really is no end to what Flip Lifestyle can do. There's no end to what Champions of Autism can do. There's no end to what any of our people's businesses can do. Yeah. And I'm really pumped up to see what happens next with you guys, because I got a feeling, I just want your podcast to be out there, because I know it's going to be awesome and amazing. So we got to get it done. And I'm really pumped up because I get to see you guys next week. So
I know, that's really exciting.
I know, right? We get to see each other in real life, in real person. So, all right, guys, that's all the time we have for today. But one more, I want you guys to shamelessly plug Champions of Autism real quick and tell them like why it's a good place to go. Because I know we've got tens of thousands of people that listen to this podcast, and that like there's people out there that may be struggling with this for the first time, for the next time, never for the last time. So, right. So they need help. They need support. So where can people go to learn more about what you guys do?
All right. So they can go to championsofautism.com. And our mission is to make sure that people who are on this journey, this amazing, terrifying, wonderful, frightening journey of autism, that they don't have to do it alone, that we can all relate to each other somehow. And we just want to connect dots and be a support, be a shoulder for you, celebrate our many wins, celebrate our frustrations, and just be there for each other.
Yeah. And, you can learn from our 17 years of experience and learn from all the other experience that we're going to be bringing into our community as well. So it's something that we didn't have when we were raising our son, but we certainly want to make sure that someone else does have it.
All right, guys, that wraps up my interview with Joe and Stacy Buzako. I want everybody out there that needs it to head over to championsofautism.com. Thank you so much for listening today. And if you need help starting, building, or growing your own online business, head over to fliplifestyle.com to learn all about the Flipped Lifestyle community and what we can do to help you find and use your God-given gifts, take your story out into the world, and serve the people that only you can serve. That's all the time we have for this week. Till next time, get out there, do whatever it takes to flip your life. I'll see you then.